Hey, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you might be. It's been a minute since I've done a video, and I just wanted to give you some updates. There's a lot of stuff going on personally here. I've been working on some personal, excuse me. I've been working and also on some personal projects. I've been doing a little traveling, but in any case, there's something that's been on my mind, and I've been meaning to talk to you about it because there's a few hunches. There's a few hunches I have about this whole deal in Pennsylvania. But before we get to that, I want to give you some Jehovah Witness news update. We have a couple of things. We have another mishandling abuse case in Montana. You probably already heard of it. It's all over the internet. But in any case, check that one out. It's another case coming out, and you know the deal. They were hiding it to witness rule, da 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 da. But, excuse me, in here, I want you to take a look at this paragraph right here. The New York based religious organization has 8.5 million members and 120,000 congregations around the world. The number of abuse lawsuits surged at about the same time as similar allegations of abuse and cover ups within the Roman Catholic Church. But the Jehovah's Witnesses cases haven't received the same national attention. So there are some correlations here that not just it's not just me seeing it now, but it's also reporters and courts and law enforcement are beginning to see some things about the Jehovah's Witnesses, excuse me, that are evident in the Roman Catholic Church, and it looks like the patterns of consequences that the Catholic Church is facing are being brought all the way down to the Jehovah's Witnesses as well. So there's a little bit more to this story. I want you to go ahead and check it out if you haven't already. Now, the next article, which is, I had to laugh at this one. This was just ridiculous. It's an interview with a gay Cuban Jehovah's Witness. Yes, you heard it right. September 20th, 2018. There he is, Alfredo Nunez Elias. And he is an out gay. He's out of the closet, out of the Jehovah closet gay. And he's also saying he's a Jehovah's Witness. Now, I don't know about you. Maybe something's changed. I don't think so. But I know if you were gay and a Jehovah's Witness, number one, you weren't supposed to act on it, and number two, you're not supposed to be out. You're supposed to keep that quiet. So that's very interesting. But maybe Cuban Jehovah's Witnesses are different. I know that in the Philippines, the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Seventh Day Adventists there, they do their own thing. They are not the same flavor of Jehovah's Witnesses in the U.S. At least not the ones I've seen. But here we have Havana Times, and he says that Mr. Alfredo Elias was born with a congenital malformation which resulted in him losing a leg when he was 33 years old. Prevented him This hasn't prevented him from becoming a hairdresser and stylist, the creator of a hair straightening product, a fashion designer, and pastry chef. So, these are all the stereotypical gay male professions, you know what I mean? Quote unquote, you all right? So I'm just letting you know it's not that something that I believe. Uh, that are gay male professions, but there are stereotypes and ridiculous notions like that. So he has all of them. He has the hairdresser, stylist, and pastry chef. So okay, but it goes on to talk about a lot of his struggle here and how he's been pretty resilient in continuing to pursue his career. And he's had to work through a lot of obstacles. And I have to say, losing a leg on top of that, this man really is driven, to say the least. But I think he's not speaking the truth. So this is what, let me see here. He says his ironclad determination remains a mystery to many people. He says he owes all his talents and ability to overcome the obstacles to Jehovah, his creator. However, as well as being a Jehovah's Witness, Alfredo is also homosexual. So he was asked, isn't it contradictory to be a Jehovah's Witness and homosexual at the same time? He says, I don't believe there is a contradiction. A human being is who they are, and that's all there is to it. God gives you your human condition and free will. You choose responsibly. There are three fundamental principles, in my opinion. Thanks to God for my life, respect for God, regard for God, 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 God. Everyone has their own purpose, a preference. All right. Do you not feel like a sinner for being homosexual? I am a sinner like everyone else, but not because I'm homosexual. Okay, that is one of my sins, blah, blah, blah. He says, however, I went to church. I didn't go as a homosexual to fix a problem. I went out of love for God. Those who are aware of their spiritual needs are happy people. Shopping malls, movie theaters. Theaters can't satisfy these. What? Shopping malls, movie theaters, and theaters can't satisfy these. Okay. I feel fulfilled when I listen to these things. They say at my congregation. Of course, there are superstitious people and extremists, like in every congregation, which distorts the God of love. Okay. All right. So it's just God drivel on this paragraph. He really didn't tell you anything. And he says, the person interviewing him, Havana Times, says, I'm guessing people in your congregation know or suspect your homosexuality. He says, I don't go talking about my sexual orientation there. No, you just put it in the newspaper. That kills me. There are other places where I can do that. Yeah, like the freaking newspaper. The national, international paper where everyone now knows you're homosexual. I go to meet up with sinners just like myself. Oh, he means just straight up sinners, not homosexual. Okay. And listen to God's word. I feel good about myself and I leave in a jolly mood. All right, then. So, he's pretty much just going on and on, trying to do his Jehovah. I guess he's trying to witness for Jehovah on this. This is just the weirdest thing. And, so he says here, I'm going to skip through the God drivel. When you are filled with spirituality, you don't see homosexuals, black people, rich people, poor people, handicapped people. You just see God's magnanimity and the step Jesus Christ took in order to save our souls. I believe it is important to strike a balance between the spiritual and material side of things in our lives. I think that many people would get married for financial reasons. I'm not interested in marrying a man. However, someone could just come along one day and convince me to take this step. I will ask Jehovah our God for permission. What? Wait. What? 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 No, wait. You got to help me with this. I'm stuck. I'm not interested in marrying any man. However, someone could come along one day and convince me to take this step. I will ask Jehovah our God for his permission. What the hell? No, this is just wrong, okay? Jehovah God or your congregation? I am one with Jehovah God. I respect my congregation when I go, and I stick to the perimeters people follow there, so they can share their things with God. My congregation doesn't get mixed up in my personal business. All right, Alfredo, go on then. Go on and do you, man. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know, but I tell you what, if you were, he's saying God too much. He's not saying enough Jehovah. You know what I'm saying? I don't know his mind. Wow, like he's gonna marry. He's not interested in marrying a man, but someone could come along one day and convince him to take the step, and then he will ask Jehovah for permission, not the congregation. All right, well, good luck with that, Alfredo. I don't know how they treat you over there in that congregation. but it seems like you're not taking some of it. So yeah, check that one out. Havana Times interview with a gay Cuban Jehovah Witness. All right then. The next piece of news and update is Watchtower recruiting and looking for lawyers or solicitors. Okay, and Mike and Kim did a video on this. Let's take a look at theirs right quick. I was trying to find the video that Mike and Kim had talking about Watchtower looking for more lawyers. Maybe it's right in front of me and I'm not seeing it, but for some reason I can't find it. But they had a video up talking about this very thing. So I'm going to take you back to this forum here, but I'm not going to read the whole thing here. This is the September 4th body of elder letter. Subject: Jehovah's Witness lawyers wishing to collaborate with the branch, and they're looking for lawyers. They're going to pony up. They've got a lot of legal battles to deal with. Now, they're not outright saying you're going to be dealing with child abuse lawsuits and all of that, but, you know, I think that's probably the majority of legal work they're going to need to be dealing with. But this is their guidelines. Number one, they must be in a good spiritual condition, exemplary in the ministry, in the family, and in the congregation. So it must be a company man or woman, a yes man, right? Number two, it's preferred that they have experience in court and tribunal litigation. Ooh, isn't the Australian Royal Commission tribunal? Or in dealings with government offices. Number three, they must be able to work as a team, follow direction, obey. I'm just kidding. They shouldn't really all obey, should they? Anyway, follow direction and have a diligent and helpful attitude. And they must be pedophile enablers. Okay, so yeah, it says here they want people. Okay, they're just doing their little Bible dribble down here, and they're saying here, if there's someone in your congregation with the profile mentioned above, encourage them to make themselves available by filling out the attached form, blah, blah, blah. Explain to the brothers that after filling out the survey and giving it to the elders, they will not receive a letter in response. Rather, when a need arises, they will be contacted by the branch. If someone can no longer make themselves available, no longer meets the requirements, or moves congregation, the body of elders should make sure that they notify the legal department. So, what they're saying is, and they made it expressive in that video of Mike and Kim, they showed how they're not saying for anyone to go to college and become a lawyer so that they can help the society. They're looking for people who have already disregarded their advice to go to college, who already went to college, already graduated with a law degree, and are practicing attorneys. Now, you know, these kinds of attorneys with this kind of experience and background are going to be making at least $70,000 to $150,000 a year, I would say. Right? That's not too bad of a chunk of change, and they're looking for them to give up their time and their money to go and help them with their child abuse lawsuits. I mean, they're not saying it outright, child abuse lawsuits here, but come on now, tribunal, government. Wasn't the Australian Royal Commission tribunal? So there you have that piece of info. Check that out. It's on Jehovah's-Witness.com forum, and the thread is called Watchtower Recruiting JW Solicitors parentheses lawyers. Now here's for some gossip and rumor. Rumor has it. Rumor has it. India, the India branch, rumor has it that it's closing down. But this post here isn't saying that it's closing down. This was another thread, and I can't find it right now. But this one here is developments in the India branch. Check out this. There's pages and pages of comments on this, but basically Part of this letter I'm going to read to you. Excuse me here. Dear brothers, excuse me. It's thrilling to see the promise of Isaiah. Kingdom halls. There's an urgent need for suitable kingdom halls and meeting places. During the 2018 service year, we expanded the number of construction groups from 1 to 4. During the next year and beginning, we will triple the funds used for Kingdom Hall work compared to. Really? I don't think so. Remote translation offices 13, blah, 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 literature and magazine. This next year will work greatly to increase the flow and increase in pioneers. During the next service year, we will continue to conduct a school. Relocation of branch office. For many years, the branch office in Rajanukunte, I hope I said that right, has been used to support the work in India. However, sometimes in the second half of the next service year, the branch office will be relocated and the current branch will be sold. This is being done for 3 reasons. We no longer print our own literature. Whoa! Translation is not done at the branch, but in remote translation offices. We want to keep the Bethel family as small as possible. Oh, I wonder why. We are purchasing floor space in an office building for the branch office, and Bethelites will live nearby in apartments purchased by the org. Whoa, really? This simplification will reduce the funds needed to operate the branch office and allow us to use more brothers and sisters in the pioneer work. Selling the old branch will also make funds available to greatly speed up the LDC program so that many more kingdom halls can be provided throughout India. So first, they kind of sandwich this like a hamburger. You know what I mean? They have the top here where they kind of fill your head with, it's thrilling to see the promise of Isaiah fulfilled, Jehovah fulfilled, Armageddon's here soon, blah, blah, blah. And then they say there's an urgent need for kingdom halls and meeting places. We expanded the number of construction groups, remote translation offices. There are 13 big remote translation offices, 95 persons. And then you get all of this. See, it says, increase in pioneers. Many are reaching out and blessing their zeal, blah, blah, blah. But then down here at the bottom, right down here at the bottom, right before they tackle your wallet like the Super Bowl set, they say, oh, by the way, we're going to relocate the branch. This is a really nice, soft way to say we're closing this shit down. Excuse my French. We're just going to relocate it. So, we're going to put the Bethel, check this out. We're going to put the Bethel in an office building for the branch office. So no longer is there a compound or a whole, where you have like several buildings and you have people living on campus, the Bethel workers, you know what I mean? Like in New York, they all were in one location. No, they're going to move the branch office to a floor space in an office building. So you no longer get to use the whole building. You're going to get a cubicle. You're going to have a little tiny cubicle in the corner that says India Jehovah Witness branch. And it's going to be right next to a telemarketing company that's selling vinyl vinyl siding for homes. You're gonna have on the other side, it's gonna be a call center for those fake vacation timeshare scams, and across from phone sex operators. Yeah, that's where you're gonna be over there in India. So, and then they say, we deeply appreciate the loving and generous support you provide for the kingdom work in India. Through your voluntary contributions, most expenses for the kingdom work are cared for in India. Yeah, sure. I don't think so. But anyway, check this forum out here and this thread if you're interested. This is a picture, I guess, of Bethel, India. And the little tack right here shows you, looks like it's a tiny bush. Is that where the Bethel of India is supposed to be? Okay. So go ahead and check that out. The thread, once again, is developments in the India branch. So rumor has it is that the branch is closing down over there. Well, it's quote unquote being relocated. But now I want to take you to what I've really been wanting to talk to you about. And I've been thinking about this for a while. This thing with the Catholic Church is an ace in our back pockets, so to say, because there are many, many correlations here. And, you know, when you're talking about child abuse, I want you to look at this article here by Michigan State Animal Legal and Historical Center. The history of abuse. Child protection cases in the United States were first pursuant to animal abuse laws. It was animal abuse laws that started child protection. That should tell you something about our human society. And children don't have as many rights in other countries like India and Philippines and in countries in Africa like they might do here, even though we still have a lot to work on as far as protecting children and animals for that matter. Henry Bergh founded the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, ASPCA, in 1866. In 1874, which is almost a decade later, Bergh and Elbridge Gerry, an attorney for the ASPCA, successfully petitioned to have 8-year-old Mary Ellen Wilson removed from her abusive home. And you need to read the details of it. It might trigger you if you are an abuse survivor, because it's just terrible. It made me cry. I couldn't read. I had to read it in pieces, and it just made me cry for that little girl and how she was treated. And to know that back then there weren't any rights for children. There wasn't, child protective services or anything like that. So they petitioned for this 8-year-old Mary Ellen Wilson to be removed from her abusive home. Several months later, the first meeting of the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children was held at the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals office, or ASPCA. So it took people who were for the prevention of animals, prevention of cruelty to animals, to fight for children. Think about that. It hasn't changed, people. As much as we want to think about that we are progressive and that we're in a much better place than those people back in the 1800s, I've got news for you. It hasn't changed. Our human society looks at children as less than an animal. Children are property of their owners, aka parents. They are extensions of them. I'm not saying this for every parent. There are a lot of wonderful parents out there that would never hurt their children and that love their children. But I'm speaking in general terms of our human society. In general terms. Okay, there's always exceptions. But in general terms, our human society views children as less than animals. And it views both animals and children as possessions, extensions of the owner. And it goes all the way to their highest, quote unquote, highest ideals, which is their religion and spirituality. Spirituality, religion, these are what a person's or a culture's highest ideals are. In fact, you can tell what kind of man a person is or what kind of woman a person is by the God or the religion he or she worships. You can tell a lot about that person. I'm going to bring you to the Catholic Church because we know about the Jehovah's Witnesses. We know how they view children. Spare the rod, spoil the child, right? Beating, abusing. How many times have you sat through a Kingdom Hall and heard a little kid get the living daylights beat out of them right there? I know I used to see it and hear it every week. Every week. I used to still get smacked in the face. I'd be 15 years old, and right in front of my friends, the incubator would just, for no reason, just whack right in my face. Of course, she'd make up an excuse like, well, you were chewing your nails or you were standing in a funny way. Just wacky stuff. But really, it's that abuse and violence is part of religion. It's in their Bible. It's in their Bible. There's Bible scripture after Bible scripture where you have children being abused and used as possessions. Look at Lot. He offered his daughters to these strangers that wanted to rape their fellow countrymen. He says, well, no, don't rape them. Here, rape my daughters. The daughters had no say in their own will because they were his possessions. Google a little bit about Catholic Church and child porn. My hunch is, and maybe somebody here has some information, and if you do, I would love for you to post that in the comments or to contact me at operationultra2015 at gmail.com. But I have a strong suspicion that a large portion of these pornography ring and child trafficking rings are set up and patronized by churches, by religious institutions. I have a very, very strong suspicion. If you Google Catholic Church child porn, you're going to get these kinds of results here. Grand jury says priest shot child pornography on church property. Former Catholic diplomat charged for sharing child abuse images. Priests ran child porn ring in Pittsburgh. Now, Pennsylvania seems like a hotbed recently for a lot of media attention to this, right? We've had Chessa Mannion and some other protesters out there speaking out about the Jehovah's Witnesses and their child abuse, and then you have the Catholic Church just getting it left and right. You had a big press conference there. You had public officials that were also survivors of this, looking to make some changes. So that's something to look at. Pennsylvania seems to be a hotbed of all kinds of things going on there. You have Catholic priest convicted, sentenced to 5 years for child pornography. Catholic priest ran child porn ring out of Pittsburgh. Let's take a look at that. This is one that's seems pretty crucial here. So, new grand jury report shows Catholic priests in Pittsburgh ran extensive child porn ring where children were sexually exploited and groomed for abuse. So, when you're going to church, understand that number one, the church's interest is in preserving its image and its viability above anything else. Because if it doesn't, then it's not going to be able to continue. That's number one. Number two, most likely you're going to have people that are involved in child trafficking and child pornography rings. That's a given. Okay? And I don't want to hear, oh, well, my church is different. No, you just think it is. They're all the same. And I'm willing to bank that beyond the religious labels, these people behind the curtains are all shaking each other's hands. Jehovah's Witnesses, Catholics, I don't think they say, oh, well, you're a Jehovah's Witness pedophile, so I won't be talking to you because I'm Catholic. I don't think they do that. I don't think these people are like that, you know? So this is a growing horrific story out of Pennsylvania. Breathtaking grand jury report released by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court documents rampant and pervasive child sex abuse in the Catholic Church, listing more than 300 accused clergy, over 1,000 confirmed child victims. I don't even think it's just 1,000 because the average molester over a lifetime already gets 100 to 300 victims that they victimize. You know what I mean? So we need to multiply 300 by 300. I think these are just the ones that came out that had the guts to come out. The report demonstrates that hundreds of predator priests sexually abused more than 1,000 children in Pennsylvania for decades, all while being protected and enabled by the Roman Catholic Church. You still think church is a safe place for you and your family? Get the fuck out of here. Excuse my French. No. In one particular heinous episode documented in the report, a group of Catholic priests in Pittsburgh ran extensive child porn ring where children were sexually exploited and groomed for abuse. Working together, the priests would select, target, and groom young teen boys to exploit. According to the grand jury report, the Reverends George Service, Francis Pucci, Richard Zula, Francis Ludi, and Robert Wolk were all part of a ring of predatory priests who raped children, shared intelligence on potential victims, and manufactured child pornography in parishes and rectories. Look at this. This group of priests used whips, violence, and sadism in raping their victims. Spare the rod and spoil the child. Isn't that what the Bible says? Well, I guarantee you some of these motherfuckers quoted that while they were doing it. Operating out of the Pittsburgh diocese, the priests would give their target victims, often altar boys, big gold crosses to wear to identify the child victim as the property of the child porn ring being run by the priests. You hear that? You see that? Let me read it to you again. Operating out of the Pittsburgh diocese, the priests would give their targeted victims, often altar boys, big gold crosses to wear to identify the child victim as the property of the child porn ring being run by the priests. Think about that next time you see someone wear a cross. So there's more to it. Read this. It's pretty. It's making me angry right now. It's making me angry. But this is the group here. Look at that. Holy Father, thou out in heaven, Holy Mary Mother, whatever the hell bullshit you're saying. This group of priests used whips, violence, and sadism in raping their victims. You see that? Clasp your hands to pray. Pray to the Lord for forgiveness for your sins. Yep. And then they want to tell you how to live. Oh, you shouldn't be gay. You shouldn't have premarital sex. You shouldn't drink. You shouldn't smoke. Don't do anything. You can't even breathe. Just die already so God can take care of you. But meanwhile, we're going to put a big golden cross on your son's neck here because he's special. Yeah. So take a look at that one. This is some sick stuff. Still think church is a safe place for you and your family? Did you go to church today? I'm not. I'm staying far away from those pedophiles. We have some more over here. If you go Pennsylvania Catholic Church into Google, you plug that in, you're going to get some more. You got the New York Times. New York Times is reporting on this. And these are some reporters that you can contact, once again, with the Jehovah's Witness thing if you want, right? Lori Goodstein and Sharon Otterman. You've got the BBC reporting on it. NBC News. CNN. And this one here is a timeline, by the way. Let's take a look at this here. Timeline, a look at the Catholic Church's sex abuse scandals by Madison Park at CNN. So, It starts with Australia. Of course, this is Australia in 2017 with Cardinal George Pell, but the Australian Royal Commission was on him too. They were on him. You got the Dominican Republic here, the Netherlands. This guy looks so creepy. Ugh. Ireland, USA, Austria. So check this article out on CNN if you want to have kind of like a general timeline of the Catholic Church sex abuse scandals. But here's another one. Oh, this is the same one we just read. That they ran a child porn ring out of Pittsburgh. Now, keep that in mind as I tell you about this guy. This is Jesus Manuel Cano. He was a Bethel elder, and he was busted. This is some years back, but he was busted with over 300 child porn DVDs and CDs. And he was busted taking pictures of young boys at the Chicago O'Hare Airport as he was traveling. He was a missionary. And they suspect that this was part of a child porn ring. Okay? Bethel International Missionary Porn Ring. It says police theorize pictures may be part of an international child pornography ring. The Bethel elder was arrested, and the Watchtower farm was raided. 50-year-old Jesus Manuel Cano was arrested in Middletown, New York, Monday as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. This was back in 2009, okay? He would have regularly engaged in distributing Watchtower literature. However, on the day of his arrest, he was passing out pamphlets that included graphic pictures of himself. So he was sticking graphic naked pictures, sexual pictures of himself in the Watchtower or in the tracts as he was handing them out. Yeah! Police have commented that they now suspect that Cano allegedly took pornographic photos of children while traveling throughout the U.S. and South America in his activities as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. You see, the two-witness rule, it protects them. Bethel elders such as Cano are often used as guest speakers at Watchtower conventions and witness assembly days throughout the world. You still think you're safe at the convention and the assembly? That's where they're really looking and hawking and scoping. The investigation has extended to the Caribbean. Police theorize the pictures may be part of an international child pornography ring. And when I first read about this, I couldn't believe it. I thought this is pretty far-fetched. This is the guy right here. This is his picture. There's his ID card, his Bethel ID card. Here's another one. Okay. Look at all of this. All of this child porn, pornography, children, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. This guy's an animal. This guy's sick. It's sick. And how can he hide that many CDs and DVDs in his room with a roommate? You know how small the Bethel rooms are. You know that there's maids coming in every day to clean. They're all up in your stuff. You don't have any privacy. You mean to tell me that... And he was there for 16. He had a roommate 16 years? So how can you hide that many CDs and DVDs and not have anyone know about it? It's impossible. They had to have known about it. You can't tell me somebody didn't know. As nosy as Jehovah's Witnesses are, and the maids are trained to go through your stuff and make sure that you are on the up and up and you don't have something in there that is contrary to their rules. So somewhere down the line, somebody had to look away. Somebody had to just look away. Check out this one here. This is a data blog from 2006. And here are the pictures again. You got 1, 2, 3. Looks like 4 computers and several hard drives full of stuff. And boxes and boxes and boxes of DVDs and CDs of child porn. Wow. Wow. Granny Gunpowder said, update your profile. You are not a JW. You've been disfellowshipped. Says so on your previous blog. So Granny didn't like this. Granny Gunpowder was not appreciative of this. Granny Gunpowder didn't care about the child pornography ring. She was just, that didn't upset her. She wasn't upset that one of her own was busted with this, or upset for the hundreds of thousands of children. No, Granny wasn't worried about that. Granny wanted to worry about whether the poster was a Jehovah's Witness or was this fellowship. Because in her mind, well, if he's not a Jehovah's Witness, then I can just discard this whole thing as lies, as apostate-driven lies, right? Never mind that it's a news story and that police got involved and there's pictures. No, 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 no. It's just all apostate-driven lies if you're not a Jehovah's Witness presenting it. And even if you are, you're going to be disfellowshipped and on your way out. All right, Granny Gunpowder. You see how these people think? It's really sick. But here's the connection I'm trying to make. And maybe I'm stretching things. What do you think about this here? I think that the Jehovah's Witnesses are involved in a child trafficking and child porn ring. At least one, if not more than one. You know what I mean? And I think they are connected to the Catholic Church. Because you've got Catholic priests running child porn rings out of their diocese. And, okay, we know that a lot of priests are involved, right? But do you think that they're just going to keep it within the church? Because remember, these priests are ordained by God. They're special. And a lot of them don't believe that they're doing anything wrong. They don't believe that. Here, let me show you. Google Catholic priests blame victims. You're going to get it. Catholic Church bishop blames sex abuse scandals on gay people. Catholic bishop blames victims. Italian priest draws fire after victim blaming rape survivor. Pope Francis accuses Chilean church sexual abuse victims of slander. A Catholic cardinal would rather blame the gays than address the problem. Prominent priest blames sex victims. So these people don't think they're doing anything wrong. The Catholic Church at the core does not see itself as having done anything wrong. Okay? They'll go blame homosexual culture for Catholic Church abuse scandals. So then, are you guys gay then? Is the Catholic Church gay? Because, look, yes, there might be a small percentage of people that are homosexual that are molesting kids. But by default, the most of the population, the majority of the population is heterosexual. And that means that the majority of abusers are heterosexual, whether they're abusing boys or girls. That's a fact. So for you to sit there and blame a tiny minority of abusers shows that you are sick. You're just sick and evil. Okay, and it's homophobic. It's Jehovah's Witnesses do that too. They blame LGBT people for molestation when it's mostly straight married men. There's some women in there too, of course, but a lot of the women, they might not outright molest. They just enable or instigate or set it up, or feed off of it by proxy. Here we've got another one. Catholic bishop blames victims of child molesting priests. It's the victim's fault. That 3-year-old just looked at him in a certain way and caused the priest to molest that 3-year-old. You see what I mean? This is how they think. And this is the churches that people are going to. Don't tell me yours is different. It's the same thing. So you can go down here and scroll down. Sexual abuse by Catholic priests. All the way. Child victim partly to blame in priest sex abuse scandals. This is sick. This is really, really sick. But once again, this is what I'm telling you. Our society looks as children as below animals. They are possessions. Adults feel entitled to children. And these are adults that are at your sacred institutions, quote unquote sacred institutions, the holy men and women, the mediators between God and you. And this is their mentality. When they are teaching you from their holy book, quote unquote holy books, the holy book has incest and pedophilia within it, and it blesses it. It's no surprise that you have this within the churches. It's not just Catholic or Jehovah's. You got Mormons, you got Seventh-day Adventist, Scientology, whatever the name they slap on their organization, it's the same cookie cutter method. I want you to take a look at something. New Jersey. New Jersey has an ongoing sting called Operation Ever Vigilant. And because of these child trafficking and porn rings, they constantly bust people. Well, there's 2 Jehovah's Witnesses that they busted on this. I'm not sure if you can see this pretty well, but right down here on the bottom end, I'm going to tell you the name of one of them that I found out. Okay. Down here on the bottom, this was given to me by Chia Fade. And I'm going to get back with Chia Fade and talk with him some more about it. But down at the very last row, starting on the far left-hand side, when you see Jose Osvaldo down here, right next to him in the red shirt, Alfred Bakewell from Sicklerville. I know somebody that went to MTS school, Ministerial Servant School, Training School, Ministerial Servant Training School. And this is a Jehovah's Witness. There's another one. There's at least 2 Jehovah's Witnesses on this Operation Ever Vigilant bust that were busted for trafficking and for child pornography. And this Jehovah's Witness name is Alfred Bakewell. There's his face. So let's put these things together in perspective. We have the Catholic Church blaming victims. You have Jehovah's Witnesses blaming victims. These religions all blame victims. If they're not blaming victims, they're blaming gays and LGBT people. If they're not doing that, they blame it on the rain. In any case, they feel justified. They feel justified. Look at this. This is a story here. The despicable pedophile priest you never heard of. And this guy, he molested and raped this girl after violin. She was a concert violin prodigy. She was just 13 years old. And this priest, John Philip Aitchison, raped her in church after playing the cruelest tricks on her. Georgie Berg was a talented but vulnerable girl when the pedophile priest raped her on a church pew after violin practice. Atchison had sexually assaulted other children before he deliberately targeted Georgie, and his abuse would later make her abandon an international solo career. The trick he played to get her close enough to pounce on her was both calculated and cynical. Atchison told Georgie that he could make God materialize her beloved pet dog, which had been killed in an accident for which Georgie blamed herself. It was just one of many betrayals. Georgie would be abandoned by everyone, including her own mother, and Aitchison would get away with molesting children until she found the strength to put him in jail. Even until the last minute, church officials were promoting John Philip Aitchison as a trusted man of God and encouraging him to be with the children. The story of this despicable pedophile priest most people have never heard of, who molested children as young as 7, is also one of 3 different churches protecting him, right up until his imprisonment, as recently as 11 days after he was found guilty of repeatedly raping Georgie. He featured at a major Sydney church event promoted as child-friendly. This was a prodigy. We have lost something very, very great because she didn't pursue this, because he fucked it up for her. He messed with this girl's head so bad. This is terrible. And the church continued to promote him. Not only promote him, but encourage him to be around children. This church is sick and evil. They are pedophiles. You understand me? This is what they do. This is what they do. So, I just wanted to lay that out there. I'm thinking that these child pornography rings are connected. They are connected with different churches, and I don't think it just stops with churches. I think it goes to, we know this deal with Hollywood and corporate America, and even in politics. So just wanted to bring that out, see if anybody else had something to say about it, had any connections on it. And I want to thank you for watching, and let's see what kind of updates we can do and what kind of movement we can make forward. All right, talk to you soon.